You didn't click this by accident. The gate has been waiting. There's a reason this video found you now and not before, not last week, not last year, now. Because something in your life has begun to shift, subtly perhaps, like an itch behind the veil of everyday thought, a recurring dream, a strange feeling that the world is not quite what it seems, and maybe that you are not who you've been told you are. This is not just another spiritual video. It's a transmission, a key disguised as a conversation, one that won't unlock what you want to know, but what you're ready to remember. You see, ancient traditions spoke of a gate, a crossing point, not a place you find on a map, but a moment that finds you, a frequency you have to match before it appears. Most people never reach it, not because they aren't smart, but because they're too distracted to notice the signs. But you've started noticing. That's why you're here. And here's the part no one tells you. This gate doesn't swing open with force. It opens with awareness. In this video, we're going to explore what that gate truly is, not just symbolically, but energetically. We'll look into ancient teachings that were buried, truths that were hidden, not because they were dangerous, but because they were powerful. We'll explore how your inner frequency determines what you see, what you attract, and even what you believe is possible. More importantly, we'll uncover the real reason these ancient keys were kept from you and how to reclaim them now. By the end of this journey, you may not see the world the same way. And that's exactly the point. Because you were never meant to stay asleep. You were meant to remember. Let's begin. The gate was always there. You just weren't tuned to see it. In the oldest temples of Egypt, deep within the inner sanctums where only initiates were allowed, there was no door, just a passage, a threshold, not made of stone, but of consciousness. The priests spoke in riddles. They weren't trying to confuse you. They were guarding a secret, that the real gate to power, to perception, to reality itself, is vibrational. Across cultures, this theme echoes. The Hopis spoke of a vibrational doorway between worlds. The Vedas describe the Bindu point where thought collapses into manifestation. Hermetic texts called it the threshold between realms. And always there was a guardian, a being or a force that appeared only when the seeker had reached inner alignment. In Egyptian lore, that guardian was often Thoth. But here's the forgotten truth. Thoth was not a god you worshipped. He was a mirror, a reflection of the divine intelligence already embedded within you. The ibis-headed scribe was said to record all things, not just in the outer world, but in the inner architecture of the soul. He wasn't watching, he was witnessing, and only those brave enough to witness themselves were ever allowed to pass through the gate. So what happened? Why was this knowledge lost, erased from our collective story? The fall didn't happen in one moment. It was a slow erosion. First, the body was separated from spirit, then emotion from intelligence, then the divine from the mundane. As empires rose and control became more valuable than truth, teachings like these were buried, not destroyed, but encoded, hidden in myth, ritual, and symbol. The pyramids, not just tombs, they were vibrational machines. The obelisks, not monuments, but tuning forks for planetary consciousness. And Thoth, not a myth, but a cipher, whose messages were hidden in sound, symbol, and frequency. But here's the twist. The hiding wasn't to deceive. It was to protect. Ancient mystery schools believed that powerful truths had to be veiled, not to deny seekers, but to ensure readiness. Just as your eyes need time to adjust to the dark, your soul needs silence to remember what it already knows. This is why you didn't find this message earlier, because the gate appears only when you stop seeking and start listening. And now the symbols return, not on tablets of stone, but in moments of insight, in synchronicities, in inner whispers. The question is no longer if the gate exists. The question is, are you prepared to walk through? Because once you see beyond the veil, you can't go back. The world will never look the same, and maybe that's exactly what you've been craving. Let's continue into the architecture of reality itself. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. Imagine waking up one morning, and for a moment, everything is still. But not the kind of stillness that feels empty. This one hums, it vibrates. There's a strange aliveness to it. You look around and the colors seem more vivid. The sounds feel layered. You're not sure if anything outside changed or if you did. This is the moment before the realization lands. You've slipped into a new layer of perception. And that layer was always there, waiting for your attention to align with its frequency. What most people don't realize is that perception is not passive, it's participatory. We've been taught to think of reality like a screen we watch. Things happen, we react, we adjust. But what if that screen was more like a mirror, one that shifts and shapes itself based on the vibration you emit? This is not philosophy, it's physics. Jacobo Grinberg called it the formational field. Mystics call it the Akashic ether. Modern quantum theorists hint at it with terms like probability collapse and observer effect. But here's the distilled truth. You're not just observing life, you're generating it, minute by minute, through the energetic signals you send out. Let's simplify this. Imagine every thought you think is a frequency, every emotion, a tone, every belief, a baseline rhythm. Together, they create a kind of symphony, and that symphony either resonates with the hidden architecture of the universe or clashes with it. When your inner music is chaotic, when your thoughts are scattered, when your emotions are reactive, when your beliefs are rooted in fear or scarcity, the field around you distorts. You might experience confusion, misalignment, constant resistance. You might even start to believe that life is simply unpredictable. But when you shift your internal state, when your emotions stabilize, your thoughts soften, your beliefs open up, something starts to happen. Small at first, a conversation flows better than expected. A solution appears to a problem you've been circling for weeks. Someone offers you the exact thing you didn't know how to ask for. And in those moments, you realize it's not coincidence, it's coherence. Ancient initiates knew this. They trained for years to stabilize their energy field before ever touching sacred knowledge. Because they understood, a chaotic field will distort sacred truth, but a coherent field activates it. And that's the secret modern society forgot. We chase information, we collect teachings, we hoard books, quotes, mentors. But without energetic readiness, all that wisdom remains dormant. It's not the words that change your life, it's the frequency you bring to them. Ever reread something you've seen before, and suddenly it hits different? Same sentence, same page. But this time, it rearranges your whole worldview. That's not the content. That's your consciousness catching up to the meaning. Now let's return to Thoth, not as a deity, but as an archetype. The ibis-headed figure didn't write on scrolls for vanity. He was encoding vibration into language. He was showing that every word, every sound, every glyph was a frequency map. And the real reading didn't happen with the eyes. It happened with the aura. In other words, sacred knowledge is not read, it's resonated. And you can't resonate if you're dissonant inside. This is why most people brush past the truth when it appears. They're not ready, not vibrationally, not mentally, not emotionally. But if you're still here, something in you already knows this. You've felt the subtle shifts, the uncanny timing, the inner pull. Your field is aligning. And that means the next layer of reality is preparing to reveal itself. But before we go deeper, ask yourself this: what am I broadcasting to the universe when I'm not even speaking? Because your frequency doesn't pause when you're silent. It broadcasts, always. What you call reality is just a filter, and you can change the lens. Here's a difficult truth that most avoid. Most people aren't experiencing reality. They're experiencing their version of it, shaped by wounds they haven't healed, stories they never questioned, and beliefs they never chose. The mind isn't a neutral observer, it's a filter factory. And unless that filter is cleaned, updated, and aligned, what you call truth will only ever be a projection. Let's go deeper. You were born into a cultural lens, inherited definitions of success, love, safety, and power. From the moment you entered this world, you were taught how to perceive it, not how to see, but what to see. As you grew, more filters were layered on. Emotional defenses from betrayal, certainty formed from survival, beliefs built to explain pain. And one day, you forgot they were filters. You thought they were you. But here's the shift. You are not the filter. You are the awareness behind it. And the moment you realize this, your perception becomes pliable. Take a moment. Think of a memory. Now recall how that same memory feels when you're angry versus when you're calm. Same event, different perception. That's not because the memory changed, it's because you did. Consciousness, when stabilized, begins to dismantle the default. The default isn't evil, it's just inherited. It's the operating system that runs when you're not paying attention. And it's the very thing sacred teachings have always pointed to. The illusion of permanence, the illusion of control, the illusion that what you see is all there is. Now consider this. What if you've been walking through a world designed by past versions of you? What if your stuckness isn't fate, but an old filter still running? This is where the teachings of Thoth become revolutionary. Thoth wasn't just the scribe of the gods. He was the guardian of codes. Codes that reprogram perception. Codes that strip illusion by frequency, not by force. The Emerald Tablets don't teach what to see. They teach how to see beyond, through symbols, metaphors, and paradoxes that bypass the logical mind and speak directly to the soul's architecture. Why paradox? Because the soul doesn't speak in binary. It speaks in polarity, in the both and, in the tension between opposites. That's why true knowledge often feels confusing at first. It doesn't affirm the old, it shatters it. It's why a single sentence, seemingly simple, can destabilize your entire worldview. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's precise. It targets the illusion directly. And when illusion cracks, your field reorganizes. Let's say it plainly. When you shift perception, you shift everything. You may still live in the same house, talk to the same people, work the same job, but it will all feel different because the you who's interacting with it has changed. That is the essence of real alchemy. Not turning lead into gold, but transforming your inner lead into energetic gold. And when that happens, your mirror changes. Because reality, remember, is not an outside event. It's a holographic feedback loop. You broadcast. Life reflects. But here's the trap. Most try to change the reflection instead of changing the source. They swap jobs, end relationships, move countries, only to find the same feelings, patterns, and triggers waiting on the other side. Why? Because their frequency didn't change. Only the setting did. You can't escape your field, but you can reprogram it. And the moment you do, the matrix shifts, not because the world became better, but because you stopped carrying the version of yourself that needed chaos to feel familiar. That's the deepest form of freedom, when the familiar becomes foreign and the new becomes safe. And that begins with the lens. Your frequency is the blueprint. Here's how to reshape it. By now you've seen, reality isn't just something you live inside, it's something you generate. But knowledge without embodiment is just data. To live this truth, you need more than insight. You need practice, intention, recalibration. So how do you begin to shift your frequency? Not with wishful thinking, but with grounded, sacred precision. It starts with what Thoth and other ancient initiates understood. The universe responds not to your words, but to your state. And your state isn't a mood. It's an energetic signature that you're constantly broadcasting. You can't fake it. You can't affirm your way around it. You must become it. Let's begin with the body, because your body is your most immediate alchemical tool. Practice 1. Energetic reset through stillness. Every morning, before you touch your phone or engage with the external world, sit. Eyes closed, hands open, no goal, no effort, just presence. Why? Because this moment, untouched by thought, is the baseline of your field. Stay for 11 minutes. Let your nervous system recalibrate to silence. Let your mind become a mirror. This is not meditation in the modern sense. This is alignment tuning. You're not trying to get anywhere. You're remembering what being feels like. Practice 2. Breath as portal. The breath isn't just oxygen exchange. It's frequency regulation. One of the fastest ways to shift your inner state is with the triad breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 8 counts. Repeat for 7 cycles. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, grounding your frequency into coherence. When practiced daily, you begin to experience life from the eye of the storm, not the chaos around it. Practice 3. Reality script rewriting. Now we turn inward to the architecture of belief. Each morning, ask yourself this: what would someone who fully trusted life do today? Write the answer, even if it feels foreign. Then live it, even in microdoses. This rewires your field not by force, but by consistency. Because here's what most don't realize. Manifestation isn't magic, it's magnetic alignment. Your thoughts are electric. Your emotions are magnetic. Together, they shape your field. That's why merely thinking positive doesn't work. If your emotional body is still anchored in scarcity, fear, or unworthiness, the signal you're sending is fragmented, so you clear it. Practice 4. Emotional transmutation with presence. Each time an emotional wave rises, anxiety, sadness, anger, Don't suppress it. Pause. Place your hand on your heart and ask, what truth is this emotion trying to show me? Don't try to fix it. Feel it. Emotion, when fully felt without judgment, transforms into wisdom. It's not an enemy, it's a message. And when these emotions are integrated, your frequency stabilizes, not in numbness, but in clarity. Practice 5. Energetic integrity audit. Once a week, take inventory. Who or what drains your energy consistently? Where are you betraying your inner knowing for external validation? What are you consuming visually, mentally, energetically that is out of alignment with who you're becoming? Then adjust. Even small shifts matter because frequency isn't set once, it's sculpted daily. Final practice, thoughts mirror ritual. Each night, light a candle. Sit in front of a mirror in silence for 3 minutes. Look into your own eyes and ask, what part of me is still hiding from the truth I already know? You may not hear a voice, you may just feel a shift. That's enough. This ritual, drawn from ancient initiatory practices, isn't about theatrics. It's about seeing. Seeing yourself, unfiltered, unmasked, unafraid. And when you do, your field begins to glow with coherence. You were always the frequency. Reality was just the echo. Now you know. Not because someone told you, but because something deep within you remembered. You've crossed a threshold that few ever notice. The moment when reality stops feeling random and starts feeling responsive. This wasn't a video. It was a mirror. And the reflections it stirred aren't meant to be understood. They're meant to be lived. You don't need to rush into action. You don't need to figure it all out tonight. But what you can do right now is start listening to the signs, to the silence, to the way life moves when you stop forcing and start aligning. Thoth didn't teach in noise. He whispered in symbols. He guided through frequency. And the message is the same today. You are not here to chase light. You are here to become luminous enough that light reveals itself through you. So let your life become the practice. Let your thoughts become invitations. Let your presence be the key that unlocks the next layer of truth. Because you're not just watching this video, you're calling something forward. And now, reality is listening. If this message stirred something in you, if it felt like it was meant for you, leave a comment with the word attuned to show the signal was received. Like this video, subscribe for more transmissions like this, and stay present because the next message will arrive exactly when your soul is ready to hear it.